The Lion's Den has shaken as the NFL drops the hammer on gambling players. Look, as NFL fans, we bet on games and don't think twice about it. At the end of the day, NFL players are human and just want to bet for fun. But the NFL has made it very clear that gambling on games won't be tolerated. There have been a shockwave of reactions after this shocking scandal hit both the team and its fans, leaving many to wonder what caused this crisis to happen. So sit tight and get ready to uncover the truth about what really goes on in the Detroit Lions locker room. Before you watch this video, you might want to subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos. On Friday, the NFL announced the suspension of 5 players, including 4 from the Detroit Lions and 1 from the Commanders, for their involvement in gambling. The 5 players are Quintez Cephus, CJ Moore, Shaka Toney, Stanley Berryhill, and Jameson Williams, who was the 12th overall pick in the 2020 draft, stands out as the most notable name. What makes this interesting is that the players received different suspension lengths. The Detroit Lions wide receiver Cephus, the Lions safety CJ Moore, and the Washington Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney will be sidelined through the entire 2023 season. They can petition for reinstatement afterward. A 6-game suspension was handed out to Lions wide receivers Stanley Berryhill and Jameson Williams. Both will be allowed to participate in all offseason and preseason activities, including preseason games. The suspensions will begin at the time of the final roster cutdown. In a statement released by his agency, Alliance Sports, Williams took accountability for his actions and expressed remorse to the NFL, his teammates, and the fans. However, he clarified that his violation wasn't for betting on football, but for a technical rule regarding the location where the online bet was placed, which would have otherwise been allowed by the NFL outside of the club's facility. Williams emphasized that he'd never intentionally jeopardized the integrity of the game and looks forward to rejoining his team as soon as possible. In a statement, the NFL announced that it found no evidence that inside information was utilized or that any games had been compromised. As far as the NFL is concerned, gambling incidents have been relatively rare. The most recent suspension was received by wide receiver Calvin Ridley, who'd been suspended for the whole 2022 season for gambling on NFL games before being traded from Atlanta to Jacksonville and then reinstated. Arizona Cardinals cornerback Josh Shaw received a suspension in November 2019 for gambling on an NFL game. He's returned to the league since. Following a 3-year career in which he caught 37 passes, Cephus was immediately released, as well as Moore, who had started in 1 game in 4 years. Executive Vice President and General Manager of Detroit, Brad Holmes, said the 2 players' actions were contrary to the values of the organization and violated league rules. Before we continue, if you know of some drama going on in the NFL, leave a comment below and be given a shout out in our next video. In addition to the players' suspensions, the Lions also fired several staff members from various departments in the organization who may have been involved in gambling, according to ESPN.com. The suspension of Williams comes as a significant blow to the Lions, as they traded up to acquire him in last year's draft, despite knowing that he wouldn't be able to play immediately due to an ACL injury. Prior to the draft, Williams spent much of the last season recovering from the knee injury he suffered in the college football playoff national championship game with Alabama. During the last season, he appeared in 6 games and finished with 81 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. Lions fans were hoping he could bounce back and make a significant jump in his second year to become a solid number 2 next to St. Brown. Berryhill, on the other hand, played 4 games in 2022, mostly on special teams, and recorded 1 tackle. With Detroit, Moore served as one of the team's core special teams players for 4 seasons. After being selected in the 5th round of the 2020 draft, Cephus has caught 37 passes for 568 yards and 4 touchdowns in 3 seasons with the Lions. He's recorded 16 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, and 1.5 sacks in 26 games for Washington since being drafted in the 7th round in 2021. With Williams, Berryhill, and Cephus, who played the receiver position, among the suspended players, the Lions will likely need to address their receiving depth in the upcoming draft. The team had high hopes for Williams in the 2023 season, but now they'll have to wait until at least week 7 to see him in action. The accountability taken by the players and the consequences faced by the team and staff members highlight the serious repercussions of engaging in illegal activities as professional athletes. As the situation unfolds, many are wondering how this controversy will impact the Lions' future and the NFL's approach to educating players about its gambling policy.